Good afternoon, Commissioners. If we'll come to order, we will call to order the monthly meeting of the Anderson County Commission Budget Committee for Thursday, October 10, 2024, 4 o'clock p.m. We will start off by asking Commissioner Palmer to lead us in prayer and Commissioner Beauchamp to lead us in the pledge. Will you stand?
If you will, pray with me, please. Father, thank you for another day of life and another opportunity to serve you and to make you known. And Father, I first thank you for protecting our area from the storms. And I thank you for how you have blessed us and how this community has stepped up to help those in need. And Father, I thank you and ask that you be with those that have been affected by the storms. Continue to heal and to restore. And Father, use us however you see fit. And tonight, Father, we come to you as needy people. We need wisdom. We need knowledge. We need courage to do the right things. So would you be with us tonight as we do these things on behalf of the people of Anderson County? Be with us now in this time. It is in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. I did mess up. Hadn't done this in a while. Rob, if you would, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Mays is absent. Commissioner Palmer.
Here.
Commissioner Vandegrift, absent. Commissioner Val.
Here.
Commissioner White, absent. Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Beauchamp.
Here.
And Commissioner Smallridge.
Here.
Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. We will continue on with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is appearance of citizens. I believe Mr. Jimmy Burge from the New River community is here to speak to us today. Go ahead, Mr. Burge. You have the floor, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank the commission for having me here and be able to speak on behalf of the New River community this evening. But I guess the first time I spoke was 3 years ago, next month, I think, about this issue. And we've been attempting to get the water line extended all the way to the end of the New River community. There's about 3 miles left of the water line. I think the last meeting, maybe was talked about a well or something. I'm not sure. I wasn't able to be at the last meeting, but anyway, there's some houses. There's probably 150 to 200 private acres there that could be built on, developed, or whatever. Plus, Windrock has thousands of acres that's adjacent to it, and there's also state property adjacent to all of it. It's been a part of the coal mining community for over 100 years now, and I know I think that is what I've been told all of my life, is that's what's happened to the well systems, the water streams, is all of the, I guess, the fracturing from coal mining, strip mining, blast. And I know there's a coal seam underground, I've been told, about 100 feet underground also, that's damaged the water system. I think Otis brought some water the last time to show the commission. There's small children that have to bathe in it, wash clothes, cook, and families. And my thought has always been it always seems to come down to economics, but my belief has always been that there's been money taken out of there. What's the tax? Severance tax for 100 years on coal, and I know that tax doesn't have to go back to that community, but that's a byproduct of the coal mining and stripping. And I would think that with all of that tax taken out and distributing in other part of the counties, like I say, I don't know where it goes, but I know it does not have to go back where it came from, where it originated from. So my thought's always been with all of that money that has come out of there, surely there is a way to get water back to the families that are still there that need water. It's a beautiful part of the county, and like I've always said, we live in the greatest county in the state of Tennessee, and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else, being a part of any other county. But we do need water there. We do need help with it, and I don't know where that help begins. It feels like we're getting a little traction. I know it's not cheap, but again, it seems that everybody is looking at it as it doesn't make money sense. But it's a humanitarian effort when your children, I can't imagine anyone in here that would allow their children to bathe in the water that's there now, or drink, or cook, or wash their clothes, any of the things they have to deal with in such a great county as we have. And I believe that with all that has been taken, and I know I'm not against coal mining because it's created many, many jobs, and it fed many families for many years, and a lot of tax-based dollars for the county. It's been good, but this is a byproduct of that, and I believe in such a great county that there has to be a way to get water to this part of the community. And I guess that's about all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Burge. Is there any questions from the committee for Mr. Burge? I believe, if I recall correctly, at the commission meeting, several different options, or maybe it was the operations committee, several different options were batted around, and one of them was to do a study. Mayor, am I recollecting that correctly? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I am aware that Robert Campbell is working on something, and I think the last I spoke to him was maybe 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. He was sending some experts out there, and he was going to be providing a proposal, which I think, that was my understanding of what you all wanted, was a proposal, a financial proposal to come back. So I just don't have that in my hands yet.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Burge, unfortunately, we'll let you know when that information does get back to us. And it will be brought up, I'm assuming, to the Budget Committee first for cost and payment and funding for it. And hopefully we'll have the support that's needed on this committee to recommend approval to full county commission. But thank you for being here today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your efforts on behalf of the New River community, you and Preacher Otis. And I know I, for one, it's my district, of course, but I, for one, am going to try to support you in everything that we can do.
Okay.
And we appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else that wants to approach? Yes. Commissioner Wells.
113 East
How
Melbourne
are you,
Road.
sir?
Feels good saying that on this side. I guess I'd like to humbly ask if y'all would consider tabling our Boys and Girls Club grant application until next month, knowing we'd need near unanimous decision today. I'd just like for us to have a fair shot to get before the full commission, if that would be in order. So thank y'all.
I'll make a motion to table it till next month.
We have a motion by Commissioner Beauchamp to table,
Unfinished.
is it under unfinished business?
It was under unfinished.
Unfinished business, Oak Ridge Boys and Girls Club. We have a second by Commissioner Allen to table that until next month's meeting, right? Okay. Any discussion?
I think we put that off once, correct?
Yes, sir.
Surely wouldn't have nobody here to oppose that. I mean, that's such a good request. I can't see anybody here opposing that.
I guess we wouldn't know till we got to a vote, but.
Well, I know it,
understand
but
the
I
point.
mean, I don't see kicking the can down the road any further. I mean, I think we ought to deny his request and vote this up.
Have a motion on the floor.
May I speak to report, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
And I'm 100% with you. I'd love to know. Unfortunately, we can't predict the future, and I'd just like to make sure we got a fair shot to the full commission. And knowing we're out two commissioners that I know do support the initiative, I'd just like to see us get a fair shot before budget.
What
so.
do you call a fair shot?
Well, unfortunately, before you showed up, we would need a unanimous decision today. We need 5 votes in support. Seeing we only have 6 out of 8, and I respect each commissioner's decision, I'd like to see us have a full 8-member commission of the budget committee. But that's just, again, my humble request.
Any further discussion? All right, a yes vote would send it to the November meeting. A no vote would leave it on the agenda for today. So everybody knows what they're voting on. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Thank y'all. We'll see you next month. All right, next item is to approve the agenda. Are there any additions or subtractions? I guess we can take that one off. Any additions or subtractions to today's agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve today's agenda for October 10, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the contracts. The first one is the Pitney Bowes County Clerk Postage Meter Lease, and that's contract number 25-0057. Commissioner White moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bochamp. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Second contract is for the Rocky Top Care Center and EMS contract, number 25-0059, 3-year transport agreement.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Third contract is the Play On Sports Board of Education contract, number 25-0063, 5-year agreement to broadcast athletic events at Clinton High School at no cost.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, is this in any kind of way opposition to WYSH?
No. What this is an online streaming service. They're gonna provide one camera for a sporting event, football, basketball, even baseball, I'd say some softball. And they're gonna stream it online, but to make money that you have to pay for this service. Like if you're a parent or and wanted to watch the game online, you would pay for this service. So it's just, we're allowing them to stream the game and they're gonna make money. They offer it to other high schools as well. I mean,
Why would we want to do that?
it makes it available to more people, I guess.
Does the county receive any payment of any kind?
No. But we're not spending any either.
I don't see no, okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
We'll raise our hands, all of them in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion passes. Next item is surplus information. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, for those of you that sit on the purchasing committee, which was probably only Denise in the last year or so, we always provide information when we sell vehicles, surplus vehicles. We had 7 that we sold, starting bids anywhere from 300 to the highest at 500, and cumulative we made $18,821 on the sale of these vehicles. So we just like to list those. Somebody asked that we start providing that information, and we did. One thing too I wanted to add, this is the first meeting we've done contracts in budget. It normally goes pretty quickly with contracts unless we have something controversial like the bus contracts the one time. But And they always are approved by legal review before they come here. So just wanted to, for the budget committee members that haven't approved contracts before. But I did want to say on the purchasing, on the Pitney Bowes, the county clerk, the lease ran out. We're saving $60 a month with the new lease. So sometimes when we rebid or redo contracts, we save money. So we like to point those things out as well when that happens. So.
Any questions to Robbie on the surplus information?
I had a question.
Dr. Smallwood, go ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
Robbie, on the starting bid, is that like a minimum bid?
That is a minimum bid, yes.
If someone bid that minimum bid and no one else happened to be there to bid differently or above that, would that person receive that bid?
My boss is telling me yes.
Is-
Yes, they would.
Seems
Because,
like we
but that
might
never
see-
happens that I've known. Maybe on something smaller, but on these vehicles, they usually sell well above the minimum.
I was thinking, would we want to start a bid, have a starting bid higher than that in the event that we did, you know, we don't want to give it away, right?
Is there a reason for the minimum bids being lower, Catherine?
Well, from what I've heard from Mayor Stevenson, obviously is really good at options. There's a philosophy kind of behind it, that if you get them interested in a lower amount, then they'll keep bidding. It's like they get kind of invested in their head,
I understand.
if that makes sense.
Do we require them to go up 300 every time? Like, if the minimum bid's 300, do they have to bid 300 more the next time? Or?
There's a minimum amount, but I can't say off the top of my head what it is.
We always do pretty well on the vehicles, I will say, and that money is receipted into, like if it's the fund that it's sold, that it's purchased out of. If it's a drug fund, it goes back into drug fund. But Gov Deals gets a portion. We get a portion of that revenue through Gov Deals, and the rest of it that would, the revenue from the sale. The percentage of it goes to is another revenue that we keep. That goes into a restricted fund for finance and purchasing. So.
Maybe something we could at least look at in the future,
Well, yeah, these are very high mileage. A lot of them aren't even drivable, so, that we're selling, so. We don't usually, or not usually selling very nice vehicles to be.
Any further discussion on the surplus list?
But yes, we will look into that.
Moving on, cash and fund balance report.
Okay, and cash and fund balance still unaudited. We're close to, I say that every month, but we definitely are closer to being completed, our audit being completed. But general fund, fund balances, restricted funds are at 2.3 million. Committed funds are 523,537. Assigned funds are 4.5 million, and unassigned fund balance 11.4. Total fund balance 18,920,299, and cash 15,330,916, and that's up 2 million from last year at this time. And also remember, I thought to myself today, why is cash up 2 million? But we do have EMS cash included in general fund cash. And last year in September, their cash was 825,000, so that's a pretty good chunk that's now into the general fund. So that's going to make our numbers look better than previous years because we have the cash flow from EMS as well. Any questions on the fund balance report? Okay. Sales tax, August, 4.3 million as a whole, up 9.7% from last August. In the county portion, 511,851, which is up 2.3% from August a year ago. So as you can see, the little orange line is above. We're doing well so far this fiscal year with 2 months only reporting now. No questions. I'll move on to the ARP funding eligibility. We still have $300,445.53 that has not been committed. We have an obligation deadline of 12/31/2024, which is approaching. 2 more meetings before that deadline, 2 more budget meetings and commission meetings. So we do need to look at getting this money, obligated before that deadline. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions
Or
on the
John Randy
ARP
also
funding
would.
list?
Love to. Okay, and the grant list is just the list of our grant inventory for this fiscal year. We did add a new one at the bottom, which is pretty hard to read with the green ink above it when I printed it, but it is the mayor's office grant from the Brownfield Identification Grant for $20,000. And that budget, there's a budget amendment that goes with that this month as well, so. Any questions on the grants or any of these other spreadsheets?
Hearing none, moving on.
Okay. On the consent agenda, there are two budget amendments that are transfers not requiring commission approval, one from motor pool and one from the Veterans Office. Seeking approval as a group, individually, I can
Motion to
answer
approve as a
questions.
group.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve items number 1 and 2 as a group. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Palmer. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next one is, it's also a transfer, but it deals with ARP funds, so thought it should go to full commission. Election on Commissioner Mark Stevens has asked for $7,500 of his ARP, $100,000 allocation for from ARP funds to go towards buying a server. And obviously, he's here prepared to answer any questions and ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go
I
ahead, sir.
appreciate the opportunity to talk. I'm
Yes, sir.
first going to mention about, of course, we have an election coming up. We begin
I
early
heard a little
vote.
about that.
Yeah, they might have seen a few signs around town, right?
Just a few.
Just a few. Early voting begins next Wednesday, and it runs through the 31st. Our hours are 10 to 6 Monday through Friday, and 9 to noon on Saturday at all 3 county locations. I would highly urge our voters to vote early. I think that's very important. Expect lines. There's no question, there's no way around it. This election is very passionate, and there's a lot of interest, and I would definitely make a plan and vote early. We now, I think we had a very robust election deadline. We will now be approaching 54,000 registered voters. To give you some perspective on that, we had 48,000 and some change in 2020. So we definitely have more voters. There's more interest. So expect that's a good recipe for lines, and just we ask our voting public to be patient. Okay? So.
Do we have a motion on item number 3?
So moved.
Commissioner White moves to approve item number 3. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion?
Gary Long says vote early and vote often.
They do that in some states, but not in Tennessee.
Appreciate what you do.
Thank you, I appreciate
You're
that.
very professional.
Thank you, Commissioner.
It's all right. Commissioner Palmer.
All right, so Mark, we talked a little bit yesterday, and there's two issues here.
Okay.
First of all, you're needing a server,
Mhm.
$7,500 for a server. It is my understanding that there is no way the server can be purchased and installed and ready for this election. However, the IT director would like to have the server here in case something happens to that server on election day, or should something happen during this election. So I think that we do need to purchase you a server. I'm not sure that we need to take it out of the ARP. Now, on this form, you've got the ARP at the top, but you have ARC grant
I'm sorry, I put
on the
that was just,
justification.
yeah, it's ARP grant.
So the ARP is where
It
you
is the
wanted to
ARP,
take it
yes.
out? Okay. It's also my understanding that you have not got these funds committed yet, and we have to have these funds committed by December. So I'm wondering if I made a motion to take this $7,500 to buy him a server from, say, I don't know what fund, 171? Is that permissible to do?
Yes.
And then we want to look at the $100,000, and I'd like to have a separate conversation about what we need to do about that. Do we need to put that back to ARP and deal next year with the digital, or the poll pads? and look at some other way to fund those pole pads. I just don't want us to lose this $100,000.
I understand.
I-
Yes, I agree. And like I said, I think have we not done a requisition for that?
We did. But they turned their requisition in before last budget meeting, but I knew that Mark was coming to that meeting, so I didn't
But those funds
commit
have
the
not been
funds.
committed
Not
yet.
because then we started talking server and using part of that money toward, if I'd committed the whole, if we'd done the requisition and the PO for the whole $100,000, then there wouldn't be 7,500 available for a server, which I wanted to clear that up first.
Okay.
Okay.
But the pole pads too will not be here for this election.
Right,
as well.
right. That's something we were looking at purchasing probably. We'd already earmarked the money, but probably purchase it after, say January, February of next year.
Right. So if we take those, and this is a separate issue, how about we just deal with this server first? Can I amend Commissioner White's motion and to take $7,500 from the 171 to purchase the election office a server?
Commissioner Palmer moves to amend the motion on the table to take the $7,500 for the request from ARP funds from the 171 fund. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bochamp. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried. Back on the original motion as amended to approve item number 3. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Item number 3, are we not going to approve the $100,000? Item number 3, we approve the $7,500 from Fund 171. Are we just voting for the $100,000?
No, sir. It's my understanding that the $100,000 has already been
Allocated.
allocated. Thank you. For him, Commissioner Palmer's motion as amended just took the $7,500 request from another funding source. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Am I right on that, Robbie?
Yes.
So what's the
Okay.
motion now?
Yeah,
What's the
that
motion?
was approved in August of 2022 for that $100,000 for those.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
All right. So now, a discussion perhaps on the 100,000. Are you going to be able to have that money committed by the end of the year?
I will.
Okay, so that means next month.
That means next month.
Yeah, okay. Because, I mean, honestly, if you don't, we need to look at putting this back. There's a list of things that we can spend the money on
I understand.
that we need to.
I understand.
All right, any other?
Any further discussion? Any more questions for Mr. Stevens?
All right.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, 4 and 5 are from the Circuit Court Clerk, Rex Lynch. The first one is moving $5,000 of the special jury trial money to overtime code for costs that his staff, they worked overtime during that trial. And the second one is out of data processing, $20,000 for data processing equipment.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve
Motion by Commissioner Smallridge to approve
Second.
both items.
as a group.
Doctor, as a group, items 4 and 5. Second by Commissioner Bochamp. Any discussion?
I do.
Commissioner Palmer.
I would like to know, I think Rex is here, what data process equipment are you replacing?
Replacing computers, scanners. So we get money off each case. We get about probably $25,000 to $30,000 a year.
Okay,
That puts in a special reserve fund. And so each year, instead of putting money in the budget, we leave our data processing code empty. And I come here and I take money out of my reserve code and put it in the data process so we can replace computers and electronic equipment.
okay. Are you working with, is this something you're working with the IT director on?
They install them
Sorry
all.
about that.
We purchase them and they install them.
Okay, and so it's not a state thing, 'cause when
Nope.
I talked to Brian yesterday, he wasn't real
No,
sure.
we have about 28 PCs with employees in all the courtrooms. We have scanners, probably about 20 scanners, monitors, keyboards, and so we try to replace about 8 or 9 each year, kind of on a rotating cycle, so we just don't hit it all at one time.
Okay. Will you do me a favor?
Sure.
In the future, a little clearer
Sure.
explanation?
Be glad to.
Justification?
Yep.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Commissioner White?
Thanks, sir. Rex, do we bill the state for the expenses that, from this jury trial?
No, it's all, county has to pay for all that. Don't look at it, come on crazy. I'm just telling you what the law says. We have to pay for it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Is that pretty normal?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, everything goes on in the courtroom is paid by the county. We don't get any state money for renting our state courts.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chairman.
yeah. And also, Ms. Palmer, Commissioner Palmer, I was gonna tell you also on the data processing, the state law tells us what we can and can't spend. It's very narrow what we can and can't spend that money for, so I can't just spend it on anything. So it has to be
Okay.
strictly for data processing.
Okay.
But I'll get you a better explanation. But we
Just in the
typically do,
future.
I do that each year typically at the beginning of the year, so I can load that fund, and I'll probably be back later in this year and asking for a little more, but that gets us started. We can start replacing a few when something goes down.
Okay. Thank you.
Hmm?
Commissioner Small?
Rex? Yes. We've talked about this before, but what was the approximate total cost to the county for this trial? I assume this is the capital.
Right, Commissioner appropriated $70,000 and put in a special reserve fund. Hotel, food, snacks, supplies, that was about $30,000. And I think we have a little over $40,000 left. And so we didn't put any payroll money in that. We wanted to wait and make sure, in case this trial went 2, 3, 4 weeks. We were planning on at least 2 weeks, and it went about 12 days. So it wasn't quite as expensive as we thought it was going to be. So.
And that doesn't include the sheriff's.
Yeah, sheriff's got a substantial amount of overtime that they've got as well. So I think we got one PO left to pay that's for some supplies, but after that, we'll have roughly $40,000 left to do personnel overtime expenses. Because all the work that was done, particularly sheriff's office, was on overtime, majority of it. Same for my staff.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Up next is the County Clerk Jeff Cole. There are 2 budget amendments for the clerk from his data processing restricted fund, $16,900 for data processing equipment, office supplies, and furniture and fixtures, and $16,000 for a clerical personnel position. It has a half position, driver's license clerk. That means it's really a full-time position for January through June. Is Rex?
Oh.
But also it's for the driver's license. Everybody, I forgot the date, Jeff, is it May? The real ID, everybody has to have those driver's license by then, so Jeff's expecting that service to.
Has everybody got their real ID? Because come May 7th, if you
No,
fly
I got mine.
and go to federal buildings, you can't get in and you can't fly. So, and it doesn't look like it's gonna get pushed back. The president decides on that. President Trump did that about 1.5 years ago, before he left, so President Biden's not done anything. So I talked to the state guy about a month ago, and he said that right now it's still May 7th. It's going to be the drop dead, and that's the issue. We're already before COVID we were doing almost 60 a day driver's license, and now we're back almost at 40 a day. And once we hit January, it'll just snowball. And that's why I did the half a year, because I was watching it through the fall here, and our numbers just keep exploding with that. And even our kiosks downstairs, we probably do maybe 20 a week on that now. And when we moved it over here, we didn't do any in the last 3 months. It's even picked up. So driver's license is hot right now.
Do want to, just a public service announcement, that you cannot get a real ID in Clinton, only Oak Ridge or Anderson.
Yeah.
The kiosk doesn't offer that. We're getting a new kiosk. The state furnishes those, and it's gonna have a couple of more services, but it's not, we have to see the documents, the social security card, the birth certificate, things like that, so they can't get that set up for a kiosk yet. It'd be nice if they could, but they don't have that yet.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as agreement.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve item number 6 and 7 as a group. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries.
Next up, we have Kyle Cousins from the Clerk and Master's Office with appropriation $3,000 from their data processing funds for maintenance agreements.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve item number 8. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next appropriation is from Fleet Services for $10,799 out of increasing revenue for contracted services by the same amount to replace the tire changer for Fleet Services.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve item number 9.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion
Mr.
carried.
Chairman, I got one question there. The old one was, sent to the school department. Has the school department got a
The vocational school.
vocational school? Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I wondered that too.
I'm assuming that. I don't know that for a fact, but they don't have a motor pool because they use our motor pool for,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah.
I know the school up there does have an automotive, class.
They claim a lot of that surplus stuff that we have through the county for those vocational classes.
And if my son's one of the ones that's using it, then it's a good thing that it's used.
We just said to the school system, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, 10 through 12 are from the Finance Department. The first one is from the 263 Fund for $37.50 for the wellness program. Second is a drug court grant, $30,000 additional grant and funds. And the third one is the Bragg grant that we talked about earlier for $20,000.
Motion to approve as agreement.
Second.
Commissioner Bochamp moves to approve items number 10 through 12 as a group. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Palmer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 13 and 14 are from the mayor's office. The first one is $5,000, decreasing senior center restricted funds for, to appropriate code for purchase of food ingredients for preparation for seniors. And the second one is for the Aspire Park from Tourism Fund, $101,440 from the Tourism Reserve. This to utilize tourism-generated funds for tourism-related capital infrastructure improvement for conduit and pull boxes for sidewalks to Aspire Park for a free community park.
Approve as a group.
Commissioner Allen moves to approve items number 13 and 14 as a group. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bochamp. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, that's all the budget amendments in the section. Section A, we do have 3 new grant applications, 2 from EMS and 1 from the Sheriff's Department. None of these have matching funds, and this is just for a grant approval to apply.
Approve as a group.
Commissioner Palmer moves to approve all of Section A.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bochamp. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, under section B, Blockhouse Valley Recycling Center and Monitor System Devices. I was gonna, let the mayor, requested for Mayor Frank, discuss these items.
Mayor Frank, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if you'll allow me to go back, Commissioner White had a question about the revenue share on that school broadcast program. There is, I was talking to Catherine about this, there is a revenue share portion on page, it's marked 3C, page 17 of 70, but neither box is marked. I would assume Anderson County could do a non-exclusive broadcasting school, which they would earn 10%. But that's something Catherine and I can talk to Dr. Parrott about and the schools about. So, just since that was a question. The first item on there that I have before you is the Solid Waste Committee has worked for a long time on trying to get off the ground with a materials recovery center where we would do more recycling. There are programs, Jeff Trabalka and I have toured Roane County. Roane County actually generates considerable revenue for Roane County with their recycling program. So we're wanting to do that. The Solid Waste Committee met on site to look at the property at Blockhouse Valley, and what we're looking at doing would be moving it down to the far end of the boundary line. And this request is, I have included in your packet there a proposal from Robert Campbell and Associates to cover these items 1 through 9 that would include conceptual drawings for approval by Anderson County of the location on the site and the configuration, field survey to exact topo, preliminary grading and drainage plan with preliminary cost estimate, final design drawings with construction details, SWIP for TDEC approval, evaluate site for drain field. There is no sewer access out there, and the appropriate drawings, preparing bid documents and specifications, assisting Anderson County in the bid process, and then review of shop drawings and contract administration. The fee is $56,500, and so that is what I'm requesting. And I just made my request for ARP funds because we can get this put into place upon approval by full commission. So.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Beauchamp moves to approve
No, second.
Section B, seconded by Commissioner Palmer. Is that okay to word it that way, guys? Section B?
Yes.
Okay.
B1, I mean, there's two
B1?
sections. There's,
Yeah.
we'll
Okay.
call it B1.
All right. Any discussion?
I have a
Yeah,
question. You
Commissioner
have
Palmer.
some other items included there.
Yes.
Are those things you think could be committed if this body chooses to, to use ARP funds for the rest of that? Could that be committed before the end of the year? Perhaps some of that?
Yes, I could get a geotech. I don't know what the geotech proposal would be. I mean, I don't think it's that much, but I could get a proposal by next month. The project inspection and then the architectural services, yes, I could get both of those in place
Okay.
by end of year. Definitely.
I'm just thinking and some of the things that, well, there's a big pot of money there that we need to get committed. So it's just,
Okay.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
And then the next item, I just wanted to make the committee aware, so that you've got plenty of time to do some research or ask questions. The Tennessee General Assembly passed new legislation, and I know Captain Val, Commissioner Val, Chairman Val, which title to use at this appropriate moment, is aware of this. This makes revisions to law, and I know Commissioner Beauchamp is also very familiar with this as well. related to global positioning monitoring system devices. And there, under certain areas of the law, there is now a requirement that the court order a device. And so part of that legal change is also, there's going to be some implications for the sheriff's department as well, is that a victim is required to also have the ability to receive notifications if there's a violation or if the offender gets within a certain radius. And so, as you all know, you approved a grant for indigent monitoring with electronic monitoring. And the grant application housed that with pretrial release. Well, with this, what we're seeing is really an expansion of the monitoring, and even some of the monitoring that is not indigent. There has just really been no place where it's being monitored for compliance. And so we've had a lot of back and forth with the judiciary. We had a meeting, I guess that was last week, or I can't remember, the night of the commission, what was that, October 1st, the commission event at Museum of Appalachia. We had a 2-hour meeting, and everyone really believes and decided that pretrial is the best to maintain that documentation and the oversight for the electronic monitoring. The county would still enter into the agreements. This is all done through the courts, but you have to have a storehouse for the notifications and for the order of violations and those kind of things. And there are only 2 folks in that department, and this is growing, and so I wanted to put this body, make you aware that we will ask for funding for another personnel because of these expanding duties. And the judges did indicate that they would be happy to come to this committee and also back up that request, because to them it made the most sense, and they understand that it's, a lot more duties, and there's potentiality for more after hours. I mean, offenders don't necessarily offend during the 8 to 5 workday. And just with 2 people, and this actually happened during COVID, where both were out, and there was no other backup, and then Mayor Frank was actually down there doing the check-in and taking the calls and marking their name down. So, and that's fine. I mean, that's been more efficient, but now with growing responsibilities, we really need to beef up the personnel a bit, so.
Mr. Smart.
Mayor, it sounds like you're anticipating a fairly significant impact, expansion in the number of offenders that will need to have these instruments. Could, at some point, I'd like to know how many right now are using this and what you anticipate the increase will be in the future.
Okay. And so as far as, and the judges do have some of that, I think Judge Bowling actually ran some of the numbers. The number that will be applicable under the statute, my recollection from our meeting, Judge Bowling and Judge Tuck, I don't think it's going to be that considerable, but you never know. So for instance, one day I talked to Judge Bowling, and she said, we've had a rash of these aggravated assault situations. And so it can just fluctuate. But the legislation also does allow the judges to do more of the monitoring at their discretion. So stalking, I'm not very literate on this. This would need to be Commissioner Beauchamp and the judges. But I think they're kind of trying to go down this path a little bit further. In fact, there was an article in the Tennessean yesterday about a situation where someone was actually on monitoring, and the offender violated drove to Mississippi and ended up killing his girlfriend and putting her in the trunk of a car. And so there ended up being a lawsuit that came about as a result of that. So there's just, I think the legislature is really trying to address how do you protect people from, you know, offenders like this who are displaying these acts of violence and intent to harm a girlfriend, a wife, or, you know, the opposite. I mean, sure, there's a lot of scenarios there, so.
Yeah. I think you mentioned, or maybe it was in here, about the grant that we'd already approved. Will that cover expenses related to this, or what does
Yes,
that cover?
so they're already doing that, and under that grant, so there have been some discoveries, and again, this will be more of a question for the judges because I don't want to misspeak on all of this. What happened is when we went down, and Commissioner Beauchamp, feel free to chime in here. You're going to be more literate on this than I am, working with the courts. I think what was discovered is when we started doing the indigency monitoring, pretrial's actually doing more than that already. So there was electronic monitoring that was occurring, but there was no real, I don't know, is oversight too strong of a word?
No, I think that's a good word, yeah.
Okay. There was no real oversight, and what happened is now with the indigency monitoring, we have a form that has everyone that's going to be called. You know, the pretrial folks, their emails, their cell phone numbers. You've got someone with dispatch, you've got the sheriff's department, you've got somebody with the DA's office. And so there's this now a firm chain of notification based on what the offense is. And so it may, you know, there's 2 tiers of offense there. But that wasn't always happening to my knowledge. And it was just maybe with a bonding company, I think they discovered, like one of the bonding companies that was doing this, the actual physical monitoring company was headquartered in California. Yeah. And there wasn't the communication that needed to be happening. So really it's already beyond indigency. Our pretrial are already just helping the courts and making sure that that's handled. I am going to talk with Jamie Brooks, though, just to make sure once we do this, we want to make sure that commission is fully briefed, because I do believe it's a bit of a expansion of the scope of pretrial release, and so we might want to call it something like pretrial release and electronic monitoring or something like that, just so commission has authorized all of that work.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I've got a
Mr.
couple of
Palmer?
questions. This is out of ignorance. What does that monitoring device look like? Is it like a bracelet or a chip? What
Could
is
be a
it?
bracelet or it could be a leg monitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so this is given to someone who has been convicted?
No. That's part of their bond condition. So before they can bond out, they get arraigned, the judge is gonna say, your bond's $50,000, electronic monitoring, and pretrial release. So
Okay.
they may not get out with the electronic monitor because they can't make the bond to begin with, but if they do make the bond, they have to have the electronic monitor. It's to keep the victim safe in the case.
Okay. Well, I understand the need to track, and especially, I'm thinking of someone that harms children, definitely, you know. But I'm just a little concerned about this. It just seems it's a global positioning monitoring device, and now it's expanding who we're gonna put this device on is expanding to more and more people, and I just don't wanna sacrifice freedom for security, I guess. Just a comment. I don't know enough about this really to be speaking right now, but when you say pretrial release, I'm like, are these convicted criminals that we're monitoring, or they assumed that they're guilty. So just, I'd like to make sure that we exercise caution in this, I guess. I'm sure we are,
Yeah.
but I just
And,
asking
and
the
before,
question.
it was at the judge's discretion,
Okay.
whether they did it. Now, when the legislature approved this bill that went through, we have to.
And that's another thing, another state unfunded
Yeah.
mandate, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Do you need, what kind of motion are you needing
I don't
on
need
this
any
tonight?
motion. I
Okay.
just wanted to give you all, as Budget Committee, plenty of time to have conversations, you know, with judges, DA, pretrial, and then I will come next month with an official request and have a representative or one or two of the judges said they would come. But, you know, something like this may have a lot of moving parts to it, so I wanted to give you plenty of advance notice, just instead of here Wednesday right before the meeting. You know, anytime you expand a department and a scope of a department, I think it needed a little more.
I'll
little
say
more
this,
time.
having worked with the pretrial release department for several years now, I've always been impressed by what they are able to accomplish with the limited resources and manpower that they have. They do provide a very great service to the judicial system in our county. If they were not an option, I really don't know what we would do at the jail, because our population would certainly be increased until the judge decided another option for them. So even without the ankle monitoring aspect being included in this, I expected a request to expand that department long before now. And it's understandable if you all saw the work that they did every day and the efforts they take to keep victims safe, to provide services that are sorely needed. I mean, you'd really be impressed. It's, you would think it was a 10-man department already, and there's two, I believe.
Two.
And they do a great job.
Yeah.
They really do.
And during COVID, and thank you so much for those comments, Chairman, and during COVID, they were just a super blessing, because, you know, you could keep the detention facility was trying to minimize the number of folks in there. And I think we doubled the number of folks to keep them out of jail and, you know, away from that. So, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next item is new business. Any new business? Do we have any unfinished business? We took the Oak Ridge Boys and Girls Club request off. Is there any other unfinished business? Any other business come before the committee?
I just want to make one comment. Monday, we are having a finance committee meeting at 3 o'clock in this room, and the Claxton School project funding will be the main topic. So anybody that's interested in that is welcome to come.
Anything else come before the committee? Thank you all. Hearing none, we're adjourned.